What are your opinions? I mean, I could have made a video of 50 minutes of Peter Monn just sounding dumb.
Let's get into these Reddit comments, shall we?
The myth of Peter Monn's social anxiety, a manipulative narrative built on lies. He doesn't have social anxiety. Tired of seeing this on the Reddit snark page. Peter Monn has long marketed himself as a vulnerable, relatable voice in the YouTube commentary and drama space, a man of the people, with a soft-spoken demeanor and a laundry list of supposed emotional struggles, the most repeated of which is social anxiety. But the reality? That claim does not hold up to scrutiny. In fact, it collapses entirely under the weight of his own actions, contradictions, and lies. Social anxiety is a real and often crippling mental health disorder. It's not something to be tossed around as a conversational deflection or used as a way to duck accountability whenever public scrutiny becomes uncomfortable. Yet Peter Monn has made a habit of doing exactly that. The irony is almost painful. A man who voluntarily puts his face on camera nearly every day, who overshares intimate details of his life to tens of thousands of viewers, who regularly injects himself into YouTube drama to gain attention, and who is incapable of staying away from a live stream for more than a few days, wants the public to believe that he is socially anxious. Let's be clear, this isn't social anxiety, it's performance. Contradictions that can't be ignored. Time and time again, Peter Monn's actions undermine the very narrative he pushes. He has attended conventions. He's posted countless vlogs in public settings. He's inserted himself into beefs and controversies on YouTube, Twitter, and Reddit. He's repeatedly stated that he loves to people watch, enjoys talking to strangers, and that he was once the life of the party in his clubbing days. He claims to have worked in customer service, and even as a counselor, positions that require consistent social interaction. So which is it? You don't get to post multiple times a day across platforms, podcast with your husband, appear in interviews, rant into a camera about drama and haters, and then retreat behind a claim of crippling social anxiety when the backlash inevitably hits. That isn't mental illness. That's emotional manipulation. He'll say things like, "I can't handle going out in public, I get too anxious," and then in the same breath describe lengthy outings with his husband, trips to Maya, vlogging at Starbucks, or chatting up people at Crumble Cookie. The disconnect is blatant. Either he has selective anxiety that magically vanishes when he wants to monetize a whole video, or he's lying. And we already know Peter has a history of bending the truth. A pattern of lying and victimhood. Peter Monn is no stranger to dishonesty. He has been caught multiple times in lies that damage his credibility and expose just how calculated his relatable persona really is. The book deal lie. For years, Peter milked the fantasy of being an author with multiple books in the works. He promised release dates, teased chapters, and constantly brought it up to make himself appear creative and deep. Where are those books now? Non-existent. No drafts. No publishers. Just hot air. It was a classic Peter Monn move: overpromise, underdeliver, and hope people forget. The recovery coach credentials. Peter once claimed to be a recovery coach and tried to imply a background in professional counseling. But once people started asking for credentials and certifications, the narrative shifted. Suddenly, he was just someone with lived experience. Again, he overinflated his qualifications to give himself moral authority in conversations about addiction, then backpedaled when exposed. The car crash inconsistencies. After his 2022 car accident, Peter used the incident to generate sympathy, play the victim, and ask for donations. But there were glaring inconsistencies in his story. From the timeline of events to the extent of his injuries. He gave contradicting accounts on different platforms and was evasive when asked direct questions. Rather than being transparent, he doubled down on vagueness and deflection, classic manipulation tactics. The sober influencer hypocrisy. Peter has claimed for years to be a proud recovering addict, yet has made wildly inappropriate jokes about drugs and alcohol on camera. He's mocked others for relapsing while simultaneously positioning himself as a moral authority. That's not recovery advocacy, that's performance. People in real recovery don't behave like this. These lies are not just harmless fibs. They reveal a core truth about Peter Monn. He constructs a narrative around himself not based on authenticity, but on what earns sympathy, clout, or a free pass from criticism. Emotional blackmail disguised as mental health advocacy. One of Peter Monn's most manipulative tools is his invocation of mental illness, particularly social anxiety and depression, whenever he's caught in a lie or held accountable for toxic behavior. He defaults to, "I'm mentally struggling," or "I can't deal with this right now," or "my mental health is suffering," as if that alone should absolve him from wrongdoing. This tactic is not only lazy, it's offensive. Millions of people suffer from anxiety and depression and don't use their diagnoses as an excuse to avoid accountability. They don't lash out at others, make themselves the center of drama, and then hide behind therapy speak and half-baked platitudes. But Peter does. Routinely. Worse, he's commodified it. He's turned being mentally unwell into content. And once he monetised that content, he gets to control the criticism by branding it ableist or hateful. That's not advocacy, it's blackmail. It's a toxic game of empathy manipulation, and people are tired of it. Final thoughts, let's call it what it is. Peter Monn doesn't have social anxiety. He has a chronic need for attention, an inflated ego, and a victim complex. The way he behaves is inconsistent with the very nature of the disorder he claims to suffer from. If he truly struggled with social anxiety, he wouldn't be so performative, so self-serving, and so brazenly public in his everyday life. He isn't a mental health advocate, he's a brand. A brand that sells trauma for views, builds sympathy for clicks, and uses mental illness as a shield against consequences. It's time people stop enabling this narrative. The facts don't lie, but Peter Monn certainly does. Guys, as always, leave your comments down below.
Rose, what do you think of Blanche saying these things?
I think she's a girl karma knocking.
Well, what exactly does that mean?
Literally, it's the precise moment when dog dude turns white.